Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 286th episode of Real Hawk Talk. I am Brian Nemhauser. You can find me on Twitter at HawkBlogger. And folks, this is hopefully certainly going to be worth more of your time than the Jets versus the Raiders, which is currently the Sunday night football game. Man, is it just me or is the NFL having a rough season? There's just a lot of not watchable games. I don't want to watch a lot of these teams play. And a lot of them end up being on prime time as well. But we're not going to talk about that right now. We are going to talk about your 6-3 Seahawks, who, little told story, suddenly winning games at home after years of being a better road team, like a mediocre home team. The Seahawks, your Seahawks are 4-1 at home. Their only loss was the first game of the season, which was a throwaway game. I think if you'll give me that, between the injuries to both tackles in the second half, between just not being prepared for that game. Your Seahawks have won their last 4 games at home. So that's something. That's something. There's more than just one thing to talk about in this game. I will warn everybody. I may be a little loopy. I was in New York this morning and woke up at what was 1:45 a.m. Pacific time. I had a 9:30 flight out of New York scheduled to come and land in Seattle around 12:45. And my plan was to go straight to the game. And I was like, screw that. I'm going to take the 7:20 flight out of New York. So I got up at 1:45 a.m., went to JFK, got through there, got to SeaTac. I don't know what the hell's going on in SeaTac baggage claim. They're doing all sorts of construction. It was a nightmare. Went straight to the game. I basically got about an hour and a half of sleep. So I'm a little bit bleary-eyed, to be totally honest, even though it's what, 5:30? My clock still say it's 8:30, but I know that's not right. So yes, as I was saying, I'm going to be a little bit all over the place, so forgive me. And you can show a little appreciation, which I would appreciate. Give the show a like, subscribe to the channel, and go to patreon.com/hawkblogger. Join now to become part of the community. I think it's the best community for Seahawks fans on the web. Great folks. And everything you donate, everything you contribute goes to charity. Over $260,000 donated. And it is still not too late to join the Ring of Honor. We are going to have our steak dinner probably at Daniel's Broiler in a couple of weeks. You can still get in if you join the Ring of Honor before then. All right, so let's talk about this game, folks. I think you got to start with Geno Smith. Because, I mean, this guy, I have probably been one of his most staunch supporters and biggest backers, and someone who's really believed in what he's capable of. And I'll admit it. First half, I was like, screw it. Put in Drew Lock. I mean, there was a throw that Geno had, and I think it might have been to Noah Fant, who was wide open, and Geno threw it like 8 yards to his right. Looking back on it now, I have to hope that the ball slipped out of his hands or something with the wet weather, because it was just awful. And he looked tentative. He was still just not great in that first half. His numbers weren't awful. He didn't have any turnovers. He was on pace, for people might not know this, he was on pace for a 300-yard game in the first half. I think he had like 147 yards passing, but it didn't feel that way. It really didn't feel that way. And the offense just kept having trouble. There was a couple 4th and 1s that one, they had a delay of game. Another, Jason Peters had a false start. End of the half, Geno Smith takes a sack that you cannot take in a position where they could have had a field goal. It was uneven at best. And he had I think, a near perfect second half. I think he was fantastic in the second half. Now, there were some plays I might not have, might have made different decisions about, but honestly, if I'm really being honest, my frustration with Geno over the last few weeks and then the first half of this game leaked into the second half. And every time he threw the ball, I was like, oh, like what's going to happen? Like he would thread the ball over a defender and into Tyler Lockett's hands, or, he would find one of his receivers on a screen, which, by the way, we'll come back to that in a second. But he did great. I mean, he really did great in the second half. I don't know what more you could ask for outside of 2 touchdowns in the second half, no interceptions, 2 passing touchdowns in the second half. Led not 1, but 2 go-ahead drives in the last few minutes of the game, including one with only a few seconds left, including a one where there was a false start by everybody but the center on the first play, backed him up all the way into, let's see, what was it? The 25-yard line. So I think their first play, they got backed up to the 20-yard line. So it wasn't as far back as I had remembered, but still. So, I mean, he on that drive goes 11 yards to Tyler Lockett. That was a pop pass, by the way. So a little bit, not really a great pass necessarily, but sure. He goes 20 yards to Tyler Lockett. This was the play that went up and over that I was telling you about. He goes, this is the biggest thing. I mean, this is a quintessential Geno moment, right? 4th and 5 on the Washington 39-yard line. This is, potentially the game. And what does he do? He forces a ball to DK Metcalf. And for the first time, maybe ever, something good happened. They drew a pass interference penalty. And at first, I thought it was a total bullshit call. There was Commander fans sitting behind me. And I was like, sorry, dude, that was a bad call. And they're like, I know. And then we both saw the replay and we both said, oh, no, that was actually a legit call. So there you go. So perfect example of a Geno moment where it's like, oh, man, that's not great. But, hey, it worked out. And then after that, Tyler Lockett for 16. And then that pass to Tyler for the touchdown was a beaut. So, that was one. And then, the final drive, you had 52 seconds. You start with the ball at a 35-yard line, 3 yards to Zach Charbonnet, who ironically, no, ironic is not the right word here, unwisely decides to truck his defender instead of getting out of bounds. So they had to use a timeout. 1 timeout to go from your 28-yard line. He passes again to Charbonnet for another 3 yards. 3rd and 4, big play. And he finds DK Metcalf for 17 yards. Gets you all the way to midfield, essentially. Takes your last timeout. And then Geno forces another one to DK behind him on a slant. Nothing there. 2nd and 10. And this was the play of the game. Geno Smith hits DK Metcalf for 27 yards to the Washington 25. And from there, the game was over. Little chippy field goal, that anybody could make. And you credit Geno Smith for a game-winning drive. And that's how it goes. So I see we got a couple super chats. We'll acknowledge here. Someone, X Savage. There's a lot of X's, which makes me concerned about who this person is and what's on their page. But they want me to invite Evan to the show. Evan was invited to the show. Evan's even in chat, but he can't be bothered. Oh, he's here. You want me to send you the link to join, Evan? All right. All right, here we go, you fucker. We're going to let you come in. We're going to let you come in, even though I know that you're probably only going to be here for like 3 seconds to talk about one player. But here you go. Invites in. Let's see if you can manage to click on it. So yeah, like wild game for Geno Smith. And here we go. Hold on. Let's get
Hey, nerd.
What's up, dude?
It only took me. I had to text you. I had to call you. You're on Do Not Disturb on all of those.
Yeah.
I had to tweet at you. I had to group DM you. I had to beg people to submit super chats.
You're. I don't actually know why I'm on Do Not Disturb. That's unintentional.
No, I respect the dedication. I got back from the dog park early, so I wanted to chat.
I love having you on, man. Well, I mean, I expected maybe like a drive-by, but how are you feeling about what you just witnessed?
That was like the most hideous win of all time, and I absolutely loved the second half.
Yeah. It was kind of fun at the end, right? Like, what a shit game for so long. 16-12, like.
Oh my god.
And then all of a sudden it was like bam, 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 like it turned into a shootout.
Oh my gosh. So we were talking about this on chat, but when Seattle scored, I had to leave to meet my parents. I had something scheduled today with them, and I assumed like the defense would take care of it with 2 minutes left. Bad idea. So like I'm kind of checking Twitter. This is not right. Don't do this. But like I have it like scrolling in the background while I'm driving. And I like rush to a parking lot and I like pull over and I'm like watching this on my phone. But it was intense. It was a crazy game. There's lots of things we could talk about. I don't know what you've covered.
Well, I want to know, I mean, I give you the opening. Like I know your primary storyline for you in this game.
Yeah, do you want to talk about him?
Yeah, I think it's inevitable. We might as well get it out of the way.
So who scored the most points for the Seattle Seahawks tonight?
The kicker.
What's his name?
His name is Jason Myers.
His name is Jason Myers, motherfucker. 5 of 5. He has been killing it week on week. Let's just talk about this for a second. Early on in the season, he did have one tragic game where he missed several field goals. I don't think he missed an extra point, but for sure several field goals. This motherfucker has bounced back. He has bounced back. And he's been super consistent. And what can we say, man? He came through when it was critical. This was a incredibly messy game. If he misses that kick, it's very possible the momentum shifts the other way and, the Commanders could win this game. So my trolling aside, there's lots of things we could talk about, but Boye Mafe, franchise record.
Yeah, I got you talk about him because I got to look up. I've been keeping track of how rare this streak is. So talk to me about Geno Smith, though.
Yeah,
I need to know your thoughts on Geno Smith.
People are going to glaze over his first half performance because of how he ended this game. And maybe that's not entirely unfair.
Well, talk to me about his first half performance. What do you remember from that performance that's like, yeah, this was...
There were a couple clear missed throws. There was one big third down conversion to who was open there? I completely
Noah
forgot.
Fant?
I think that was one. But then there was like a running back who did like a rollout.
Oh, Charbonnet.
That was early on in the game.
Yeah.
There were a couple sacks that he took that he probably shouldn't have taken, but a throwaway is probably not that much of a difference. But he just looked confused and frazzled, and I don't know. It's just the Geno Smith we've seen over the past several weeks.
Dude, I gotta interrupt. Can I tell you how the looks I was getting in the stadium? Because every time he threw it away out of bounds, I would scream like, "Thank you, Thank you. Just fucking don't do something stupid. Just throw it away. That's a good play. Like, live to fight another day. When's the last time you remember him throwing the ball away?
It's something we've criticized him for.
It's been weeks. Like,
yeah,
it's been weeks, dude. Sorry, go on.
It was just really a tale of two performances. Two halves, different performances. I think his stat line's going to look a little bit better than it probably should be, just because of that K9 64-yard receiving touchdown.
You know what? That's bull. I gotta call. Everyone's saying I gotta call bullshit on that.
Why?
Sam Howell had 2 of those plays in this game. No one's talking about that.
But the bar isn't Sam
Brock
Howell.
Purdy has like 10 of those a game. Like we can't have it both ways, right? We have talked about the fact that they don't have a screen game, that they don't have these short passes with run after the catch, and then they get one and we're like, well, that doesn't count. I'm like, but that fucking counts. It fucking counts.
That's fine. I'll concede that. But overall, Geno Smith did not play a good game.
Really? That's your takeaway?
He was horrible the first half. Absolutely awful.
He was bad the first half. He had no interceptions. He had 150 yards passing. Like
there was one play that probably should have been a pick six, but it wasn't. That's fair.
I mean, I agree he was bad. I think we've seen worse from him, so it's hard for me to say he was horrible.
Okay, that's fine.
And then the second half, dude, he was really good.
He was. The fourth quarter particularly. He was almost
so perfect. Like I don't know how you could say he played poorly this game. He threw for a career high, threw for like 370 yards.
That's so weird because it doesn't feel like it.
I mean, look, I was you were in the chat with me, dude. I was like,
dude, all I'm saying is like
put Locke in there.
I mean, I'm absolutely going to commend him for his fourth quarter, performance. He was brilliant. He was almost perfect. Okay. But let's not forget that at halftime, this was not a good reflection.
No, I 100% agree.
We just can't discount like an entire half of play is what I'm trying to say.
Dude, we do that all the time. I mean, he was, but like, I agree. Like, I was like so done with him in the first half, and it's not just the first half. It's been like weeks of him just looking lost out there.
Yeah, I mean, I want to continue to see what we got in the fourth quarter from him.
I don't know. I'm going to be interested to see some of the numbers of the offensive line, because I thought the offensive line actually played okay. Like, was that your impression?
They weren't horrible. There were not like specific moments where I feel like, there was one Evan Brown.
Oh, Evan Brown.
Fuck up.
Yeah, he missed an assignment. All right, hot off the presses. I haven't tweeted this yet. There are only 2 players in the history of the NFL that have had a streak of at least 7 games with a sack in the first 2 years of their career. Javon Curse in 1999 and Aldon Smith in 2012. Your second round defensive end, Boye Mafe, becomes the 3rd. If he gets one more in a row, he will tie the record for most games with at least 1 sack in the first 2 years of a player's career. That's wild.
Yeah, there's 2 guys defensively that like really excite me as pieces that we can like legitimately build around, and it's Devin Witherspoon and Boye Mafe. Tariq Woolen, you could add to that list, but like those are the 2 that stand out to me.
So you didn't get to see the end and how the defense played. It was weird, dude, because I felt like they'd played well. It was basically 2 broken plays for touchdowns, and then they'd shut them down, and then all of a sudden, Washington goes down and scores 2 touchdowns in a row at the time that matters most. Like, the Seahawks offense finally does something. It was so Seahawk. And, I mean, I got to give Howell some credit. That guy is good.
He's better than people think.
He's good, man. I think he's going to be really good. But I don't know what happened on defense and how that last touchdown to tie was like embarrassing.
There's a lot of poor tackling again today.
There was.
It's like a consistent theme I feel like we've had all season long. Like Jamal will whiff. Jamal had a big whiff on a sack today. The touchdown.
That was on a
play.
touchdown play.
Yeah, that was the first drive, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the Seahawks had some kind of game plan of like blitzing early. Like they blitzed a lot, and Howell was just eating them alive.
I mean, one area though I do feel like we have to give credit towards is the defense in the first half. They only allowed 9 points.
It's not even just the first half; it's through 3 quarters. I mean, they allowed like 200 yards of offense. Like it was like headed towards another like great game for them, and then it just fell apart.
Yeah, I guess I give them a little bit of grace because I feel like they kept us in this game for our offense to figure it out.
Okay, can I ask you a question? I'm gonna read you a list of teams that are 6-3.
Okay.
In the NFL.
Okay.
And I want you to tell me where the Seahawks rank in this list of 6-3 teams. Okay.
And how many teams are there?
There are 2, 3, 4, including the Seahawks, 5, 6, 7.
Okay.
Okay. San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
Jacksonville's
6-3.
Jacksonville's 6-3. On paper, that might have been one of the harder games the 49ers have left outside of the Seahawks and Eagles.
Jeez.
Well, they got Baltimore too. Miami, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, and Dallas. Which any of those teams you think are below the Seahawks as a 6-3 team?
Probably like 4 of them. The Jags, the Browns. The Browns was one, right?
Yep.
Browns. I'd put the Steelers below them.
Yep.
And I think one other. Seahawks, Niners. Who's the 6th team that I'm missing?
There's Jacksonville, Miami.
Ooh, maybe it's 3 teams.
Yeah,
I'd probably put
3.
Miami and Niners above them, realistically.
Yeah. And I'm not sure Jacksonville's. I think they're probably similar to Jacksonville. You know, but like I was gonna say, is this the worst 6-3 team in the NFL? But it's not.
It's not.
It's not, dude.
It's not. They're a good football team. They're just not a. I hesitate to say they're a great football team.
They're not a great football team.
I know, and people don't want to hear that, but even after a win like this, I still feel that way.
Yeah. I don't know what to do with this game, dude. Like it was.
I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna whack off to Jason Myers highlights. That's what I'm gonna do, man.
So it's just a Sunday night.
5 of 5, man.
Sunday night.
5 of 5. I cannot believe it. Gino had no turnovers today, which is big, by the way.
I'm telling you, man.
I'll take that. That's an improvement.
Not only that, but I think he only had maybe like 1 or 2 throws that were like either turnover worthy or just like, what the fuck are you doing?
He definitely felt more cautious today.
Especially early.
Yes.
He was like getting rid of it fast. There was a couple times there was guys open down the field. Here's the thing. So you were saying he sucked in the first half. I'm remembering a little bit more. It wasn't as much that he like would make a bad throw, which there were a few of those for sure. He was missing open guys. Like he was not seeing the field.
And the big one that I remember was the DK Metcalf contested catch down the left sideline. Noah Fant was like wide open.
Yeah.
That was like a pivotal one.
Yeah.
How do we feel about Quandre Diggs? Total shift of topic.
He's a guy. Like he's not worth the contract he's due next year.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm all for Jarek Reed being an up and comer. Like stick that guy in there, or have Julian Love back there with, whatever.
Disley had a couple bright moments. He
did. I thought JSN started strong.
He did.
And then he just disappeared the rest of the game. We got it. The Seahawks have a screen game.
Yes. How is this a thing?
All of a sudden.
Yeah.
Right? Like they had Disley had a good screen. JSN had a couple good screens. Lockett had a good screen. Like, is that is that really happening that the Seahawks have a screen game? Oh, what are we talking about? We haven't talked about DK Metcalf. What do you make of DK Metcalf, dude? He's right there with Geno, isn't he? Like, isn't he just like the two of them? What do you do with those two guys?
I'm very confused on DK. I'm very confused. Because he'll show up in prime time, at the close of a game like he did today, but he's just absent for so many quarters at a time, and he doesn't seem to make an impact for whatever reason, as consistently as I think I expect him to. He struggles with contested catches. That's just a fact. He's been one of my, people aren't going to like this, but one of my more disappointing players this year. I think relative to it's not like he's a bad receiver, to be clear. It's just like relative to what they paid him at and what type of production they expect out of him. I mean, he's the sixth highest paid receiver in the NFL. It might be higher. I need to double check, but it's like in that range. So
I don't even think it's like right to say that he shows up in the clutch. I mean, he did today.
Yeah.
But I mean, we were talking about it in text. When they throw the ball deep to him and there's like a contested catch, I have 0% hope that he's going to make a play on it. He's almost like, for such a brilliant athlete, he's almost clumsy and awkward going up he doesn't high point a ball. He doesn't he's a 230-pound receiver and he never bodies guys up and knocks them off the ball. Like, I don't know. He came up at the end though. So like he ends up with 98 yards receiving, basically wins the game there at the end. I don't know, man. The first half, I was like, is JSN our best receiver now?
Tyler Lockett still is, probably.
I think he is.
He came in clutch today.
This is 8 catches and 10 targets, 92 yards, and what should have been the game-winning score.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tyler was great today. Zach Charbonnet, man. That guy, like, I feel like touch for touch, he's like as good of a weapon as they've got, and he needs more touches. He got 6 carries today.
100%. Every touch he gets, he's a workhorse. He's slamming through guys. He's dragging guys.
Right.
It's got to be inspiring, honestly, to play next to a player like that.
I mean, if you look at his last few games, so today 6 carries, 44 yards, 7.3 average. We're gonna scratch Baltimore because nobody did dick that game. 5 carries, 53 for 10.6 average against Cleveland. Like, in almost every game, he's averaging 6 or more. He's averaging like almost 6 yards a carry, but he hasn't, like, the most he's ever carried the ball is 9 times in a game. And I just think this guy should be getting 10 carries a game. And what do you think about Shane Waldron's game today? Like,
I don't know how to feel about him.
Right.
I'd be curious for your take, actually.
Well, so I asked for a few things to, like, my get well plan for Geno Smith was throw the ball away. The first 2 things are things he can control. Throw the ball away when there's not a play. Don't take the sack. 2, take advantage of outlet passes on time. Don't hold on to it too long. Swing it out. So, by the way, he did both of those things today better than he has the rest of the season. Like, it wasn't great, but it was better. It was definitely better. And then there's other 2 things where have some short passes worked into the offense and have outlets like available. Shane Waldron, I thought, did a better job of that today. We talked about the screen game. We talked about he did have some outlets, some swing passes. And then the 4th thing was run the fucking ball. And that's the one thing where I can only give him a C on it today, because they'd run the ball a couple of times for, like, they were getting yards on the ground. Like, the worst plays were like 2-yard gains. I can live with that. And they just would get away with it. And Washington, it was like, I turned to my buddy I was watching the game with on the second to last drive. They ran the ball 5 times in a row because they were being successful. And I'm like, That used to be Seattle. Why am I like? I would have never guessed, Evan, that I'd be like screaming at you saying, "Why won't Pete Carroll's team run the ball?" Like, what bizarro world is this? So, like, that's my biggest criticism right now. Is I think Jeff said it well. Maybe he's a good play designer, but not a play caller. He doesn't seem to get the rhythms of games. He gets in ruts where he just passes like 7 times in a row. I don't know. I'm not in love with Shane Waldron, but can't argue with the fact that his offense ends up with almost 500 yards today, dude. 29 points and a victory. So you got to give him some props.
I think the frustration with Shane Waldron is his inconsistency, though, when it comes to having this offense ready on game day. Like, what's your confidence level going into next week against the Rams with Shane Waldron?
Oh, not just with Shane Waldron, just with Sean McVay and what he's done to the Seahawks defense in the past too. Like, it's not high. I give the Seahawks less than a 50-50 chance in that game, assuming Stafford plays.
Mm-hmm. Did you know there were 5 games today that ended on walk-off field goals?
Really?
Yeah.
This was a really ugly slate of games today.
Cleveland, Houston, Arizona, Detroit, and Seattle all ended in walk-off field goals. All 5 were successful.
Our boy CJ Stroud.
Dude, he's a stud.
We were right on that one.
We've been wrong. I've been wrong about a million things, but like my Get Plowed for Stroud campaign, let me tell you, I look back on that one with a little bit of
regret, envy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you.
Would he be successful if he was playing in Carolina right now?
I think he'd be more successful than Bryce Young.
Okay, I agree with that, but would he be at or close to the same level?
No, I don't think so. I mean, he's got some young weapons and a better offensive line in Houston. Mm-hmm. And this is a good thing for, Seahawks fans in some ways, because the Texans are 5-4. We were freaking out that the Cardinals had their pick and thinking they were going to get the top 2 picks in the draft. That's not going to happen. Mm-hmm. And the Cardinals won today. Now they've got Kyler Murray back and James Conner back, and so they're 2-8. The Cardinals, I don't know what they're doing a little bit. Like they're taking themselves out of the Caleb Williams derby.
They really are. Can I mention one other player who's,
of course,
I think deserves like crazy regards today, and it's an obvious one, and I feel like it's starting to get overlooked to an extent because he's been playing so well, but Devin Witherspoon is just absurd. Like this dude was nearly flawless in coverage, had like 4 pass breakups today. It may have been 5, a forced fumble, and nearly an interception. What?
Yeah. He was fantastic.
What?
He was fantastic. That's a great call out. And I
think so good, Brian. He's so good.
You were watching on TV, so you'd have a better idea. Was he matching up with Terry McLaurin a lot?
I wasn't watching closely.
Okay. Because Terry McLaurin only has 4 catches and 8 targets for 33 yards. And this guy is one of the best receivers in football. Like, he's unheralded because the Commanders always have shitty quarterbacks. But this guy is like a really, really good receiver. I'm actually looking right now. That was almost a season low. First game of the year, he had 31 yards receiving. I almost wonder if he got hurt in that game because he only had 4 targets. But it is not often that you hold Terry McLaurin to 33 yards. I think that I saw him guarding McLaurin, but who knows?
Yeah, I'm trying to see if there was any. Yeah, I'm trying to see if I can find any matchup data. I'm not seeing anything right now.
If
two of his pass breakups did come up on McLaurin, though.
It did.
2 of them.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, he's fucking. I love watching him play. Him play.
And the near interception was on him as well.
Well, and he also batted down a pass that was almost picked off by a Woolen. I thought Reek Woolen had one of his better games.
He did. He did.
I thought he was solid today.
How do we feel about Jamal Adams talking shit after missed tackles? Does that bother anybody else? Is this a sensitive topic?
No, not for me. Here's where I'm at on Jamal Adams, and these are like two like genuine like how I think about Jamal Adams. One, I don't think he's that great. Like, at this point, I think he's like, I think he's like slightly above average starter right now. And then the other thing I think is we've got more games out of him than I expected. Like, it's cool that he's actually getting to be on the field, and maybe if he can stay healthy, maybe it's like Trey Brown last year when he came back. He didn't look like a very good player. And then the next year of rehab after the returning from an injury, players usually make a little bit of a jump. So maybe if he can stay healthy, have an off season, maybe he can be, I don't know. That's what I think of Jamal Adams. So I don't think a lot about him. What do you think?
It just kind of like, I understand he's a very high energy guy, and like I'm not playing on a National Football League like in an NFL game, so I get that. There's high emotions. These guys are like, crazy athletes, and there's a lot of adrenaline, and I understand all of that, but it's just a weird look to me when the dude is like celebrating and talking shit after consistently missing tackle. It just bothers me, but
I need
to be more.
So Reflect the Sun, is this real or is this a joke? He says that Jamal Adams in the press conference said, "I'm glad it didn't go into OT. My knee was barking."
That's got to be a joke.
Is that real? Someone tell us if it's real or not.
I'm looking this up. I don't really know what that means, though. My knee was...
Means that his knee was sore. It was throbbing.
No, I don't see that on Twitter. Unless it's a misquote. I don't see that.
Yeah, I don't know. A couple other interesting things. Leonard Williams gets his first sack as Absolutely. A Seahawk. I thought he played okay.
Yeah.
Draymond Jones. I don't know if they talked about this on the broadcast at all. Seahawks used him a little differently today. They played him at Uchenna Nwosu's spot. They played him at end. They played him at edge. So they had these packages where he was on the edge, Mafe was on the other edge, and Leonard Williams and like Jaron Reed were in the middle. And so I'm wondering if they're gonna. He got his sack playing back his normal interior, defensive tackle position, but I wonder what's gonna happen there. Frank Clark. I don't think this guy's an NFL player anymore.
I don't know if he's going to stay on the roster, to be honest. He looks confused. He does not. He looks out of place. He's not present.
Yeah. Who else?
Oh boy, wait a second. I think there was a Jamal quote. Let me listen to this for 1 sec.
Yeah, go ahead. While Evan's doing that, I mean, it is just wild. It is wild to me to look at these standings, and as it stands right now for the Seahawks, they are the 5th seed. Is that right? Yeah, they're the 5th seed. They have the tiebreaker over Dallas because they have a better winning percentage in conference games. Oh, by the way, Evan, I don't know if you know this. This was a massive leverage game for the Seahawks playoff odds.
It was like a 33% chance difference, right?
I might be totally misremembering, but I thought it was like 82% if they won and like 33% if they lost. I thought it was like a huge swing.
I actually have this. So, okay. So a win on Sunday today puts the Seahawks in a great position to make the playoffs. 82% with a win, 52% with a loss.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So maybe I was remembering the 30 points difference, but
still, that's significant.
It's a huge, like, huge, huge, huge. I mean, really, it's the Seahawks at 6-3, the Cowboys at 6-3. They're going to play each other. I don't think anyone would pick the Seahawks in that game right now. And then the Vikings at 6-4, and then nobody else has more than 4 wins.
Mm-hmm. I want to pull up the Niners schedule real quick. So they play the Bucks next week. Could they lose that game?
I mean, the Bucks are 4-5. It seems unlikely.
Yeah.
I didn't watch the second half of the 49ers game, but they just absolutely were overwhelming Jacksonville.
It's basically what the Ravens did to Seattle, right?
Yeah.
Pretty close to it.
Yeah. I can't believe the Ravens lost. I can't believe that they gave up 30 points to the Browns.
Did they lose? They lost to the Browns today?
They lost to the Browns, dude.
How did I miss that?
Yeah. It was wild.
God, football is so weird.
And the Texans beat the Bengals, which also is bizarre.
That's less shocking to me.
It is.
The Browns beating the Ravens is pretty.
How the Steelers are not good. How do they keep winning?
I
think the Steelers might be like something like the Seahawks.
Just like super strong defensively and somehow pull it off offensively.
Yeah, just like flawed, but finding ways to win.
The only way the Steelers they're 6-3, right?
Yes.
I think this is like pure Mike Tomlin, just like dirty magic. There's no other explanation for this.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah. Oh man, I think the game of the day must have been one of the games, the Lions-Chargers games looked like that was a lot of fun. 41-38. Lions come out on top.
Lions are 7-2, man.
Yeah.
So 7-2 teams are Eagles, Lions. Who else?
Hold on.
I don't think
in the NFC
of all.
Eagles, Lions, Chiefs.
Oh, Chiefs, duh.
Yeah,
those are the only ones. Broncos last week, which was so weird.
Yeah, Mahomes was hurt. I mean, or ill.
Was he?
He was like super, super ill. But like, yeah, the Ravens. I'm gonna chalk it up to weird division shit. And the Browns have an excellent defense, but I still think that Ravens team is the team to beat in the AFC. That was just such a good team. I don't understand how that happened today. I think Lamar threw like 2 picks.
Did he?
Yeah.
I was just seeing that they gave up a 15-point lead, which is pretty wild too.
Yeah. All right. I got to eat my dinner, so I'm going to wrap up here in a little bit.
Is there anybody else we should call out?
Well, tell me this. I mean, I saw Jason Peters rotating in there and Stone Forsythe. I was like wanting it to be Forsythe, but I think I saw a lot of Peters. Did you get any sense of how either of them played?
We're gonna have to go back and watch the tape.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Kenneth Walker, we didn't really talk about much. I thought he had a decent game. Obviously that touchdown catch was a big deal.
Mm-hmm. They need to get him the ball more.
Here's a question, super chat from Tyler Short. Do you trade Pete for Mike Tomlin?
No.
Yeah.
But why? I do like Mike Tomlin. Yeah. I just think he's a similar type of coach, I think, to Pete Carroll. He's just a not as good version, but he's still really good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Players love Mike Tomlin.
Yeah, for sure. Well, this Seahawks team sits 6-3, 5th place in the NFC with an 80% plus chance of making the playoffs. They're heading into next week a 3-6 Rams team that, let's see, has lost 3 games in a row. 20-3 to the Packers that did not have Matthew Stafford, 43-20 to the Cowboys, and 24-17 to the Steelers, that same Steelers team. This is the team that started your season off by beating your ass. 30-13. Matt Stafford absolutely torched the Seahawks. Now, you didn't have Devin Witherspoon in that game. You were ahead at halftime. You lost both starting tackles and played the second half and couldn't do shit. But I'm not sitting here saying it's all like excuses. Matt Stafford absolutely trashed the Seahawks in that game.
He destroyed us.
I mean, you find a way to get that win, and like a lot of the rest of the season doesn't really matter because I don't think you're winning the division probably. But it would be fun to be, what would that be? 7-3, 49ers 7-3, coming in to Seattle on Thanksgiving.
Oh my gosh. You're going to give me a heart attack just thinking about it.
I've got a little bit of hope, unreasonable hope, that the Seahawks could beat the Eagles. There's something about the matchup there that I feel like the Seahawks could actually beat the Eagles. And by the way, I don't think this is as shitty of a Washington Commanders team as people make it out to be. This is a 4-5 team coming in. They were up by 15, 16 points over the Eagles just a few weeks ago. So I don't think this was like a perfectly played game, but I think this is a quality win. It's not like they beat, I don't know, the Giants, that kind of team. Mm-hmm. But I don't know, man.
Well, I can tell you this: 100% of the games that I have attended at SoFi Stadium, Seahawks Rams games, the Seahawks have won.
Well, you're fucking going.
I know.
Are you really going?
Yeah, I'm going to the game next weekend.
Oh, so you're gonna go there, and then you're gonna be here. Wow, you were
2 straight weeks, man. 2 straight weeks.
I love it.
It's SoFi this weekend, and to be clear, I've been to one game previously at SoFi, so 100% hit rate, 1 out of 1. It was that Geno, I think fourth quarter, maybe it was an overtime game last year. I don't remember.
Yeah. A rare Seahawks victory over the Rams.
Yeah.
Well, dude, thanks for hopping on, and congratulations to your boy Jason Myers.
Jason fucking Myers, baby. 5 of 5. Get fucked, haters. Get fucked. 5 of 5. You hear that? All the money taken on this video is gone because Jason Myers, 5 of 5, baby. Absolutely.
All right, Seahawks fans, you heard it here first. Get fucked. That's Evan Hill at Evan Hill HB on Twitter. I'm Brian Nemhauser at Hawkblogger. If you haven't already, give the show a like, subscribe to the channel, go to patreon.com/Hawkblogger to sign up, get access to the Slack channel where the conversation will continue, and we will do another show coming up midweek. Let's see if the Seahawks can keep this weird season rolling. 6-3. Have a wonderful rest of your evening.